Welcome to Bunnyfish Crafts. I'm your host Heather, known as Bunnyfish on Ravelry, Plurk, Instagram, and YouTube. Today is Monday, the 11th of August, 2014, and this is episode 91, Open House. Grab some sticks and string and come sit with me. Tonight is the open house for my son's school, which I'm going to, and I'm kind of nervous about because I don't even know what you're supposed to do at these sort of open houses, but I do know that I'm getting all of the information there, like who his teacher is, all of the bus information. I feel like that is crazy that parents are just getting this information tonight because school starts on Wednesday. Does that seem really strange to you? I feel like we always knew our teachers' names like a couple weeks in advance and the bus route. The bus drove by 2 weeks ago. I saw it do its morning pickup 2 days in a row. Its morning drive 2 days in a row. So why do we have to wait until today to know when pickup and drop off times are, exactly what the bus route entails? Because I want to know where my child is at all times when the bus is running, just in case. So in case I hear about a bus accident, I can know whether or not I should start freaking out, you know? Anyway, I'm really nervous about it. This is a big thing. Kindergarten is a big thing. It'll be fine. He'll be fine. I'm just like, because it's new. Stuffy's knit along. That is still going on. Coupon code for Amy Eyes, which are the awesome eyes I used on both the panda and the dragon. The coupon code is BPC 2014, all smushed together, and that gets you 10% off any purchase of $5 or more. There is a tag for your works in progress / finished objects, and that is BPHSTUFFYS14. The prizes are eyes from Amy Eyes, which I don't have. The winner will be in contact with Lucas from Amy Eyes to decide what you are getting. And then the other prize is this gorgeous skein of Dancing Dog Dye Works Flamenco DK in the colorway I Believe. Just beautiful. And I was really excited. Last night I got home from work and there were 3 new finished objects in the finished objects thread. It was amazing. So I actually finished a stuffy. One of the finished objects that came rolling in this week was done by the little one from Artsy Knitter Podcast. And since I kind of called her out a little bit, not really, but just a little bit, I felt that I should finish the stuffy that she has been waiting to hear about. So I felt a little guilty, a little motivated. I finished this owl that I started, I don't know, months ago, 2 months maybe, for my cousin who had her baby. And this is made using yarn that I dyed with Kool-Aid. So there you can see. It was white with those flecks of green, yellow, and blue, but I dyed it with pink Kool-Aid. It's cotton yarn, peaches and cream maybe. It came in a cone, which I no longer have because a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, a lady at Knitting said that she really liked mitered squares and she wanted to learn how to do them. She's only been knitting since December. And I was like, oh, that's easy. I'll show you how to do mitered squares. We can do dishcloths. So remember when I finished that dishcloth? I took that cone and I was just going to let her take it and, bring back the leftovers when she was finished. But she wanted to purchase it from me. So I said, okay, you can have it because I don't use cotton that frequently. So that was one less thing in my stash that wasn't getting used. Anyway, I dyed it with Kool-Aid. I probably put it in vinegar water to soak through the cotton, and then added the Kool-Aid, I think. It was a long time ago. There are tutorials on how to do this. So don't just take my word for it. Go out, search YouTube. YouTube will help you. But then I zapped it in the microwave for a little while and probably let it cool. This is very technical. This is a very technical discussion of how I dyed this yarn. I'm sorry. The nose is made out of, nose is made out of Red Heart Super Saver in coffee. The eyes have Karen 1 pound in black. Some texture fuzzy, can you see that that blue yarn is fuzzy? Fuzzy blue yarn. And Lion Brand Pound of Love in white. Yes, it is that skein that will never end. But it's finished. It's finished. It was sitting there for so long. And all I had to do was stuff it, close the top, make the eyes and the nose. Sometimes I'm ridiculous. But I have a finished toy. Yay! Which is good because I am traveling home at the end of the month. So I can just drop that off. Possibly with my cousin, possibly not with my cousin. Possibly with someone else to deliver to my cousin. That's the only thing I finished, but I also blocked the Urban Survival so you can see better how it turns out. There we go. I think that's all of it. That's fine. All the details were in last week's episode. I'm not going to repeat them, mostly because I didn't write them down. I'm sure I could remember them, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. Works in progress. I am, this is exciting. So this right here on the ball binder, which I could have taken off, but I didn't because I didn't have this slip of paper handy. When I take the singles, I make them into center pole balls. I put a slip of paper in the middle to keep it from collapsing, and you can see the paper goes all the way through. And then I ply from the outside. Sometimes I ply from the inside, but for the lace singles, I ply from the outside. And this is the final single, final part of a single. So I'm all done spinning singles, and now I am really getting into the plying. So this is how it's coming out. Let's pull some off so you can see what that looks like. It's lace weight. It's a fractal, so the colors line up sometimes and not at other times. It's super pretty. I think that I can have this finished by the end of the week. So hopefully by next week, this will be a finished object because these are my first two halves, although I don't split things very evenly. It's not a technical split. I split down the center as evenly as possible, but then when I split things to make the first half of the single, I just kind of guesstimate. So one ball, as you can see, is much more gone than the other. And I like to keep my my cakes of singles in glass jars because it keeps them from tangling up or rolling around. They're heavy enough that I can just set my plying spindle on top of it and it won't go rolling away. So that's what works for me. And yeah, I'm going to be plying like a fiend, hopefully. Maybe not. That's my plan though. Of course, you know, time management is my problem right now. We'll see how that goes. I've also been spinning the Cloud Lover. 40% merino, 40% superwash merino, 20% silk. It's 4 ounces, blackberry truffle colorway. And I am getting close. There is a marked dent in my fiber for the first 2 ounces. So I'm going to continue spinning this on my supported spindle, which is from the Spanish Peacock. And it's birch for this whirl and then ebony for the shaft. And it's a 38-gram spindle, in case you were wondering. I don't know if I told you that before, but this is how it's going, and my spindle is getting full-ish. I'm really going to try to get it all on the spindle, which means the spindle will be very full, but it's a supported spindle. So does the weight added onto the spindle really matter? Like, that would affect how quickly it spins, but as long as I make sure that the single is pretty consistent, like if I have to flick more to get the same amount of twist, that'll still be fine, right? I don't know. I'm just playing around. This is my first project on my supported spindle, so we'll see how it goes. I'm really enjoying the spin. The fiber is gorgeous and the prep is lovely, which I will take a little credit for carding them into Rolex. If you're doing a supported spin and you're having a fight with your fiber because you're using a braid, try carding, or just make faux legs, which means you take the braid and you open it widthwise so that you're looking at all the fibers still going this way, but they're fluffed out, and then pull off a short chunk this way, so your fibers are going this way. Pull off a short chunk and then roll it from the top to the bottom so that the fibers are kind of all on themselves, and then try supported spindling with it. That's how I did it. It's much easier for me. I've seen people spin off of a braid before on supported spindles. I don't know how they do it. If they did, it might be something that goes with fiber content, but if you're having a rough time, try making Rolex or faux legs. I officially started my sister's sweater, which is the yarn is sitting in my Haley bag. I folded it down so that it would be just enough to keep the cake from becoming a mess when I put it into knitting bags, because you know how cakes, if they have any space to move, the ends can come off and it can be a big mess. So that's what my Haley bag is doing right now. And this yarn is 716 knit in a worsted. The color is You Have Butt Face. It is the variegated version of Care Bear with Bangs. And here is the start of my sister's sweater. It's a little bit bunched up because I'm using a 24-32, I think it's a 24-inch cable. That sounds right. So here is the bottom. And it's doing a lot of pooling, which my sister is totally okay with. I am not alternating skeins. They were all dyed at the same time. I'm hoping they're close enough. That might just be asking for trouble, but I think it'll be fine. It's crazy enough that the variegation will hopefully take care of itself. All the colors look really similar in the skeins. I know this is asking for disaster, right? Whatever. She gets what she gets. And if it's really, really horrible, I'll rip it out and do it properly. The pattern that I'm using is a Nitty pattern. It is the Armand by Andy Sutherland. I don't know. It was from this past winter Nitty issue. And I'm using US size 7, 4.5 millimeter, which I believe is what's called for in the pattern. It's what got me gauge. Alterations to the pattern. My sister, I asked her because I wasn't sure what pattern I was going to use, I asked her if she wanted ribbing or garter stitch around the cuffs and hem. And she went with garter stitch. I showed her examples of both so that she would know what I was asking her, because she's not a knitter, so the terms are like, nah. So she went with garter stitch, which, yay, I really didn't want to have to do ribbing across all of those stitches and then continue ribbing here. Garter stitch is so much easier for me, lazy. And so that's a change from the pattern. The pattern has ribbing. I also did not do pockets as it says. I left a hole because the pattern has you knit the, I think it's knit the front of the pocket. No, it's knit the back of the pocket and then go back and knit the front and knit together stitches from either side of the back of the pocket. It's attached right at the beginning, so you increase, you double the amount of stitches and then keep those on the needle, knit the back, and then go back and forth. It makes a lot of sense in the pattern, and the pattern is free because knitting patterns are free, so I'm not giving away information. But if you're interested in how to do a pocket like that, it's very well explained in this pattern, in case you're doing another pattern somewhere and that doesn't make sense. Anyway, I opted not to do that because I have a pretty good yardage for this yarn. However, my sister wants the sweater to be very long, and the pattern for the sweater is not very long. So that is something that that I'm not sure about. I'm doing a bottom-up sweater because I couldn't find a top-down sweater that did what I wanted it to. I'm sure I just didn't look hard enough. I'm sure there are tons. But I'm also going to be adding a hood onto this pattern instead of the collar. It's got a collar that kind of lays down, kind of like my Moody cardigan. So it has like the tall collar if you were to button it up all the way, but when you lay it flat, it's kind of squarish. Instead, it's going to have a hood. And I can't remember if my sister wants buttons or a zipper, or if we decided that was something we could figure out at the end, because I am not afraid of doing afterthought buttonholes. I've never done them before, but I'm not afraid of them. Or if she wants buttons, or I could do like toggle I-cord things, or put in a zipper, which I've never done before either on a garment. But I'm willing to figure it out. Do you see this hair sticking out like a crazy? What is going on? Stop. Okay. I think that's all I had to say about this sweater. So mostly I'm using the sweater for stitch counts and kind of winging it a little bit on the details. If it works, awesome. If not, I'll rip it out and reknit it. But I'm hoping I don't have to do that, because I would really like to give my sister a finished sweater at the end of the month when I go to Michigan. That's my goal. That's doable, right? Say yes. Say it's doable. Even though this is not even like, well, I guess it kind of covers most of my face. Let's see. Yeah, that covers face. It doesn't cover my back though. Anyway, now I'm being silly. I worked on the cowl as well, the design cowl, so I can take a picture, so I can get the pattern out there. And it's now big enough to be just a one-part cowl, but that's not how big I'm making the pattern. Although that is kind of cute. Maybe I'll have to make another one that's only that big. What do I have to say about this? The needles are US 7 4.5 millimeter. I'm using 716 knit, 716 floss. I have this much left, so I'm going to do stripes until these run out or almost run out, and then we'll be finished. This color is You Taste Like Ashes. This color is Orchid. Did I say this is 716 Boss? I can't remember. That's coming out nicely. The garter stitch looks good in this pattern, I think. I like this stockinette too. I like both. Both are nice. I'm also working on a secret project, which is where a lot of my knitting time went for about 3 days last week. It's a design, which I am super excited to tell you guys about, but I didn't ask my co-collaborators if I can talk about it on my podcast. So I'm not going to, except to tell you that, oh my gosh, I'm really, really excited about it. And yeah, it's going to be kind of amazing. So if you don't see a lot of progress going on these projects, assume it's going on in that project. Oh, and I also have another secret project that is taking up a little bit of time. Josh from Sort of a Knitter and I, we are making each other blanket squares, which we're making 10-inch squares with the idea being that we can add borders on after we send them to each other. And we're each making 24 squares. The blankets that we are going to end up putting together are going to be 25, so it'll be 5 by 5. So 5 feet by 5 feet, depending on how big we make the borders. And the 25th square we are going to make for our own blankets. So I've been making a few squares for that. I think I'm up to 4. So I won't be showing you those either or the yarn because it's a secret, and I know that Josh occasionally watches my podcast. I know sometimes he misses, but sometimes he watches, so I'm not showing you. I will, though. I have been recording the information from the squares and the squares themselves. You remember how I did for the ZK with the projects? So after I send off the squares to Josh, I will show them here. There will be a montage in December. So you will get to see them, just not right now. My sock yarn blanket. I made 8 squares this week. I'm so excited to show you this. Okay, so here's my big massive blob of sock yarn blanket. I finished. I'm showing you the back. That's not helpful. Well, I mean, it's not horrible either. Although, so have I told you that I, first of all, I hate weaving in ends. Like after the fact, finishing weaving in ends, I don't like doing it. I wore my ZK thigh highs in the marketplace with the ends not woven in. I just tucked them in because I really, really hate weaving in ends. So if there's a way to get around that, I will. And the way that I do that most of the time is I just knit in the ends. So there are ends coming off of the squares that are not attached to something else, but all of the other squares have the ends woven in. And the way that I do that is when I pick up the stitch, because in this pattern you pick up stitches along the edge. When I pick up those stitches, I take both the beginning of the first of the yarn that I'm attaching and the end of the last square and knit it into the pickup. So I put both of them over the working yarn, pick up a stitch, put them both under the working yarn, pick up a stitch, put them over the working yarn. So it's just weaving over under. It is not the prettiest way to weave in ends. You can see it right here in this join. It's not the prettiest way you could do it, but it's effective. The ends don't come out, and I don't really care what the back of my blanket looks like because I'm not really going to be looking at it. I'm just going to be cuddling under it. So if you are not particular about having the prettiest finish, that's an option. I also do that with the toes of my socks or the cuffs of my socks, depending if I'm doing toe up or cuff down. I just knit in the ends as I go. Especially if it's for me. If it's for someone else, then I'm kind of like, yeah, I guess I should make that look nice. But for me, it doesn't bother me. So just a thought, if you are making something like this and you don't want to weave in 8,000 ends at the end. I also did that for urban survival. I just knit in the ends as I went, wherever possible. Because, oh my gosh, that would have 8,000 ends. Hate weaving in ends. Anyway, back to the blanket. Do you know what this is? This square right here? This is the first top square of 17. Well, this little part right here is the first top square of 17. There will be another that goes right here. And then I will have my first corner of my blanket. So guess what I'm doing today? The first top corner of my blanket, that means 3 corners will be finished. I'm excited. So this counts as 4 squares. And here's one, here's one. These 2 are ZK yarns. This is the yarn I made my ZK thigh highs out of. It's If the Apocalypse Comes, Beep Me by 716 Knit. And then I did a square using Nooch Fiber Fade Out. It's Morningside Sock. And this is Joanne Sensations Truly in Truly Turquoise. The sock yarn blanket is getting huge. I now have 683 squares. Well under 100 to go. 683 out of 776. Yay! I'm getting so close. Oh, I just dropped my blanket, but there was something else to show you on it. I almost forgot. Last week or the week before, I asked what you guys thought I should do for the edging, and I have made a decision for right now. I might rip it all back if I start not liking it. So I just picked up along one of the sides. This is I think I need to do one more complete row and then I'll be ready for the corner squares on the following row. I just picked up a side and I was like, okay, I'll start here. So this is single crochet, which is how I'm going to finish my blanket because I'm not doing an applied I-cord. That's excellent if that's how you want to do it. It looks really nice. Single crochet is way faster for me. So this is how far I am. I have 3 squares finished, and I would tentatively like to do a square a day, but I'm not going to beat myself up if I miss a square a day. It's just so that at the end, I don't finish off my last square and look around and say, oh man, I have to edge the entire blanket. Because again, I don't like finishing. I like having finished things. I do not like doing the finishing work. And again, I am just crocheting the edges in. So this is the tail from that square. See, there's the tail from the square, and I'm just crocheting over it, and voila, it's gone, and I don't have to weave it in. The yarn that I'm using for that is from the Premier Yarns Deborah Norville collections, and it is Serenity Garden Yarn, which is 100% Draylon microfiber, and the skeins are 65 grams, 185 yards. So this is what it looks like. I have 2 leftover bits and 1 full skein. I assume this is a full skein. I got these in the swap package that I got a couple months ago, which was to pull things out of your stash to trade with someone else. Not really trade because it was a waterfall style, so you send to someone, they send to someone else, and then you get sent from someone else entirely. Anyway, my swap partner included leftover yarn for my blankets, and she sent a lot of this because green is my favorite color and she was finished with it. So I have a full skein. I know I won't run out of this yarn. I have that large partial that's attached right now, another smaller partial that I will use, and then I'll break into this skein. Worst case scenario, it's sold at Joann's Crafts. I'm sure it's not that expensive and this color is grass. So that is what I intend to edge it in. Again, if I hate it, it'll be fine. I did listen to suggestions. I decided to go with this because it's kind of a stripy yarn, but each of the stripes has a little bit of variegation. I don't know if you can tell, but oh, I think you can. So on this light stripe, nope, on the other side, you can see pops of darker green. So it won't be solid. I think it will look nice. And if it doesn't, I'll just rip it out because I'm just doing a single crochet border, and that won't really take that long to redo if I hate it. Hexapuffs, I made 10 this week. This came from the ZK, and it is White Birch Fiber Arts. I got it from Amelia in the Nothing Says Screw You Like a Rainbow colorway. No rainbow though, only sky. It has cashmere in it. So yeah, that was okay. I can use cashmere. It just irritates my hands, so I do not make projects out of it. It irritates my skin, period. It irritates my hands the least, so I can work with it, but I cannot wear it at all, period. I have to make sure that when I'm knitting with it, it doesn't touch any other skin. But it'll be fine. I'll just make sure to put it on an edge somewhere where it won't touch me that frequently. This is a celebratory hexapuff with the Truly turquoise. This is the If the Apocalypse Comes Beep Me from 716 Knit. Fade Out from Nooch Fiber, which looks different on the other side too. And the rest are ZK yarns. Feel awkward when I'm showing you things and not talking because then it's so quiet. Ah! And then things try to jump and take matters into their own hands. Yeah, those are my hexapuffs. I have 232 hexapuffs. And I'm going to show you what my hexapuff blanket looks like because why not? Each week I take 3 hexapuffs from whatever I made that week and hexapuffs from that jar, and I take 6 out of there, and then I split them all up so that I make 3 hexapods, 1 each from the new squares or new hexapuffs, and then 2 each from the jar. And I make little hexapods, so 3 together joined so that I don't have to join a bajillion hexapuffs at the end. And then, so I make 3 pods a week, and I attach from the previously made pods. The 3 pods that I make that week go into the bag, and then I pull out a pod.
Here.
Thank you.
This for school?
That's for school. That's right. Go.
Bye.
Bye. Shut that door, please. I pull out a pod from the bag, a previously made pod.
Hello.
Out of here, please. I'm recording. Out of here, please. Go ahead. Out.
Bye.
Bye. Go. Go. Go.
I want to get
Shut the door. On your mark. Get set. Go. Shut that door.
I'll play a ring.
I take a pod out of the bag and attach it to the first strip. So this is the first strip, and it is over halfway, but maybe it's about 75% across. This is what it looks like. So there's one end, and here is the other end. I think it's about 75% of the width that I want it to be when it's finished. I don't know, I'm going to have to lay out my mitered square blanket and my then lay this across the top of it to see. Really important when I put it all together, because I make the celebratory squares, or puffs rather. I make them, and some of them have a distinct front and back, so it's really important to make sure that the front goes on the front side. This little guy who was inspired by the Stockinette Zombies, that is my marker for the front. And I think I might also make it the center puff of the blanket. I am not 100% sure, but that's what I'm thinking. This is what my blanket looks like so far. My started put together pieces and a bunch of these. I have new things this week. For Tour de Fleece, I was on a team called Yarn Therapy Zone, and many of us donated a prize or two to a drawing at the end so that people could have prizes. And there were so many prizes donated that everybody got one, and some people got two. I'm one of the lucky people who won two, but I only received the one this week in the mail, which is fine. I donated two prizes and I only got one out to the post because the other one is international, and that means I have to go to the faraway post office, which I will probably do tomorrow. Today is just too full. So what I have are stitch markers from TanyaAMcGuire.com. Sorry, my hand is shaky. Not just stitch markers though. So they're these very pretty rainbow stitch markers and a chain with a large lobster claw so that you can wear them as a necklace. So those are my prize, and this is reasonably priced. So this necklace is $6. The stitch markers don't have a price, and I didn't go to the site yet, although I plan to go look around. Reasonably priced, it seems. And can you see the jewelry detail on the business card at all? Very pretty. It's gorgeous. So I definitely need to go check that out. Finished reading Red Glove by Holly Black. So I thought I knew who had committed the major crime in this one. And I even told Josh in a VKN who I thought it was and why. And then the next morning I opened the book, and 2 pages later the main character thought that was who it was. So I was like, oh no, never mind. My opinion is incorrect. So then I was waiting for clues, and I didn't figure out who it was until the very end, right before the big reveal. It was really, really good. I highly enjoyed it. I will definitely be picking up the 3rd book in the series, maybe today, because it's Friday and we're going to the library. So I also started and finished Crossed by Ali Kandi. This is the 2nd book in the Matched trilogy. Very different from the first one because the main characters are no longer in the society. Like, it's a dystopian trilogy, so they are away from society. It seems to happen frequently in the 2nd book in dystopian trilogies. So it's very different from the first one. Still very good. I was very interested in it. It changes. I believe that the first one did not change perspective back and forth between characters, but this one does. Every chapter it switches off, which I didn't mind. I know some people really hate that, so that happens in this book, but I didn't mind it in this. And again, I might pick up the 3rd book today because it's so good. I really want to start reading it. I started reading Requiem by Lauren Oliver. It is the 3rd book in the Delirium trilogy. This one is written differently than the first 2. The first one was written completely in present tense, told solely from the main character's point of view. What is her name? Lena, which is short for Magdalena. It's, yes, totally present tense from her point of view. The second book switches back and forth from past to present, not distant past to present. It's like a 6-month time change sort of thing for Lena. And then this book is present tense, but it switches between Lena and her best friend, Hannah. I'm enjoying it so far. Ooh, I'm farther than I thought I was. That's kind of sad because then it will be over. Although I think there is a companion book to the trilogy. I have to look into that. It's well written. I'm enjoying the story. The concept behind this dystopian society is love is a disease, and on or around your 18th birthday, you are given brain surgery to inoculate you to the disease. Some people have the procedure earlier if they are exhibiting symptoms. However, it's risky in minors. The surgery can cause death in minors, and it doesn't always work. So there are groups in the wilds, which it takes place in the U.S., and the wilds are places outside of cities because everything is highly regulated in the society. So forested areas, and basically there's a war on between society and the invalids, who are people who the cure doesn't work or they voluntarily run away before they can have the cure, and the invalids live in the wilds. Although sometimes they live in society and they fake having the cure and try to help the anti-cure people. It's really good. If you like dystopian society things and you like young adult, definitely check out the Delirium trilogy. I'm very much enjoying it. I'm kind of sad that I'm that far through the book already. I don't have a list of 3, but I do have a something for you at the end of this week's podcast. I have a podcast for you to check out. It has 4 episodes. It's adorable. It's a sister podcast, which is fun. And it is called Foxes in Socks with Beth and Carrie. I believe that I met both Beth and Carrie at the Zombie Apocalypse. I know I met Beth. I'm pretty sure I met Carrie. Carrie, if I did meet you, I'm really sorry that I can't remember for sure. But there are a lot of people there. So, yeah, I kind of feel like a jerk if we met and I don't recall. I'm sorry. And Beth, crochet was my primary crafting thing, and I've been doing it since I was 5. So it's okay that I did my 2 stuffies faster than your 1. You'll get there eventually, and it will be adorable. That's all I have for you this week. I hope you made something fantastic with your sticks and string, and I'll see you next week. Bye!